Outdoor designs also include some speaking as well as a t-shirt company that I started with my daughter, who her and I are constantly after building our own brands. A few notes. I'm going to go through this quickly because I do want to make sure we have plenty of time for content. There's a lot of exercises that we're going to do today. But my goal here today is not to motivate you. My goal is to give you strategy, equip you with tools that are going to help you be a better leader and lead your organizations better. So if you start to feel a little bit motivated, then I'm probably not going in the right direction, but I guarantee you're going to leave with tools and strategy. We're not going to rush through. You're going to get a copy of this deck post this call. So if we don't catch those last couple of slides at the end, no worries. You're going to get the deck. They're all very self-explanatory, and you'll be able to do the exercises as well. And then I just highly encourage you to participate. A lot of the biggest unlocks that I get in sessions like these is when people are open, transparent, sharing with the group. A lot of times what people share in chats and in rooms when I'm doing this is exactly what the other person needed to hear. And so this is a no judgment zone, and this is all about participation because we're going to be talking through ways to have more clarity in our leadership brand as well as our business brand. So definitely engage with me and stay interactive. So we're going to start with it right now. And I'm going to have you engage the chat. And I'm going to actually, I'm pretty good with technology. I am definitely a millennial, but sometimes I be acting like a baby boomer. And so I don't know where sometimes I'm going to find the chat. I think I got it up. I'd love for you to put your emoji in the chat or drop in the chat if any of these resonate with you. So raise your hand. This is usually I'm in the room. Raise your hand or put your emoji in the chat if you've ever been in a room and you struggle explaining your leadership value in a place where you needed to. So put your emoji if that resonates. If you've ever felt overlooked despite delivering strong results, you were always achieving, but we're not getting chosen. If that's ever been you, raise your hand. Or drop your emoji in the chat. If you ever led with a title that did not match your actual contribution, so you were delivering and you got the title, but it did not match, you were over delivering what you were actually being paid for. Definitely. Oh, I see an emoji in the chat. Oh, clown emoji, mad emoji. Okay, let's get to it. I feel like we can all resonate with that one. And then lastly, if you've ever questioned whether or not you were in the right room, if that's you. So it looks like we've got a lot of hands, a lot of us that have experienced these things, which means that I'm amongst friends. So I'm excited to kind of help to give some clarity that will prevent us from being in these positions as often as we maybe have in the past. And if you feel so comfortable to write in the chat which of the four you felt most recently, I love to read some of those and just take a second to honor some of your experiences. That'll help me as we go through the rest of this, but also for you to acknowledge it for yourself as you create your brand story as well. So feel free to drop that in the chat. And when I get to my next pause, I will check out and read some of those. Taylor put 1, 3, and 4. Question whether or not you was in the right room. Thank you, Courtney. Looks like a lot of questioning whether we were in the right room. Led with the title that didn't match. Daily struggle of whether or not we're in the right room. And I would, we're on a tight hour. So I'm going to say that because the leadership piece is typically a full workshop. And so in the first part of the workshop, I hope that with that being kind of the common thread of whether or not you're in the right room, you gain some confidence and clarity around the leadership value that you add. And just believe it without me doing the full workshop. Like you're going to gather some facts and some data about yourself. And so I'm going to encourage you to believe it as we go throughout this workshop without me kind of going off track. But I appreciate you all acknowledging that. And I want to just let you know you're in the right room today. You're in the right room today. And most likely people should be rushing to get in the room with you because you all are so talented. All right, so why are we talking about this? I always love to lead with stats to make sure that we understand and get grounded in what the data says about why this topic is important. And so here's a few stats because we're going to be talking about stories. 63% of people remember stories better than they remember facts. So you can share data all day long. In fact, this is just one slide that you may not remember when we get to the end. I just want to kind of deposit this into your mind real fast. But when I start to have you all talk about the stories, those are the things that I'm going to remember about you and that your peers in the room are also going to remember about you. 2, people have short attention spans, okay, including myself. I'm probably going to lose my thought at least once during this workshop. We have short attention spans. And so we've got to be quick to get them to understand what we're about, why they should invest in us, and have them understand our message. We have about 7 seconds to get somebody to lean in. And so we're going to be, again, talking through some clarity stuff that can help you get them to lean in a little faster. And then lastly, 81% of people say that trust influences whether or not they engage or support an organization. And so what does that mean? When people can connect to your story, they need to quickly understand what your story is. Your job is to get them, for you to be so clear that they trust in your message, they trust in your results, they trust in your leadership. And so really the goal for today is to really, again, it's the clarity so you can become easier to understand. So, what's the issue? Why do people struggle to be clear? Or why are people staying undervalued is the better question. And it's because they struggle to be clear. I know those of you who have been in a workshop with me before, this next slide is going to be familiar with you to you, but it always goes different every time. So just oblige me in talking about a couple of actually the slide after this, I apologize, a couple of restaurants. But I want to just tell my quick story of why this resonated with me and what actually was one of the things that made me create this workshop in this way. And so for many of us, you've probably been in a position where you have learned a lot, you have experienced a lot, you've probably held at least 5 to 6 jobs, worked for different organizations. You've had opportunities to sharpen your skills. That was me. Recently, I was in a conversation a little bit over a year ago. I was in a conversation with a gentleman and I was introducing myself, and I just word vomited all the things that I had done because I wanted him to hire me for a workshop, but I wanted to prove to him that I was qualified. And so here was kind of what I told him. 20 years I've been in leadership, I've got operations experience, I'm a career coach, speaker, consultant, trainer. I don't even have on here that I make t-shirts, resume, interview, like anything you need, I can do it. And that's all great and fascinating. And at the end of the conversation, what he said to me was, you are remarkable. You're a remarkable young lady. And while I know he meant it to be a compliment, I took it as a personal challenge to become more clear. So, yes, I can do all those things. All the gift, skills, and talents that you've acquired along your career are still valid. However, you still have to decide what is going to be the core strength, the core thing that people are going to seek, that I want people to decide to hire me for. And for me, it's speaking. That's why I always lead in now with, I'm an athlete, I run my mouth, because I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to say things and provide tools that are going to help people transform. So he told me I was remarkable, and I'm like, all right. So I think I'm sounding a lot like Cheesecake Factory versus Raising Cane. So this is the slide that I was talking about that is very familiar to everyone. But before we start, I'm curious, what are your favorite items from Cheesecake Factory? If you in the chat, tell me what are some of your favorite items from the Cheesecake Factory. Drop them in the chat. I'm just very curious. Carbonara. Ooh, some good Italian. The mojito. Come on, Deanna said, listen, forget the food. Pumpkin cheesecake. There's a cheesecake. Avocado egg rolls. All right. Let's get one more. I feel like we're missing a genre of food. Any cheesecake. Hey, the last three workshops, I've had people actually mention cheesecake, but often I don't get people to say cheesecake is their favorite item. It's always either some Italian dish, some Hispanic dish, some Southern fried food, some chicken wings is a common one. Me, I just get the Caesar salad because by the time I finish looking at the menu, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and you know what? In fact, just give me the cheesecake since that's what y'all said y'all stood for anyway. That is sometimes what happens at Cheesecake Factory, where there's so many items, so many choices to choose from, just like me being remarkable. That complexity on the menu can lead people to confusion where they don't know what they should choose you for. This guy didn't know whether or not he wanted to bring me in for a resume workshop or whether bring me in to do some consulting because I was just telling him all the things. What I want us to avoid as leaders is not having a Cheesecake Factory menu. Okay. Raising Cane's is the one that I like to use all the time. That's the sorry, I'm clicking wrong here. Not sure why it's doing that. It was on there a minute ago. Raising Cane's, there we go, is the company that I like to use because they have such a clear brand. They have basically built a full menu, a over $3 billion business using one item, and it's as simple as a chicken finger. People can rely on them, and their customers are loyal to them based on the business that they built around this one item, which is for your leadership, for your brand, you want to have that one core thing that you offer. So I'm going to pause on the chicken for a second, real quick, and we're going to talk a little bit about your personal brand. So there's four things that I want you to consider when you build your personal brand, and it's what drives you, what drives your leadership, because your brand is not what you do, it's why you do it and who you do it for. So there's four things that I want you to think about when you think about your personal brand, your actual story. One is, what are your values? And as I go through these, go ahead and, if you don't already have pen and paper, go ahead and start writing down some of the things that matter to your values, are what you believe in most deeply. I like to just go ahead and disruptively say it's the thing that you're gonna fight about. If somebody steps on your value, you willing to throw some hands about it. Now I ain't been in a fight since the third grade, so I'm not really gonna fight, but it matters to me to make sure that one of my values is responsibility. I feel a responsibility for people, a responsibility for leaders that are around me. And so when people treat people wrong, I feel responsible, and I get real serious about how people are being treated around me. What do you believe in? What would you never compromise on? That is your values. Two is passions. What are you so passionate about that you work on it for hours? In fact, you might even be willing to be bad at it and struggle at it for a little bit because you love it so much you want to continue to sharpen your skills around it. Or you can think about maybe something that ignites you in public service. So, what are you passionate about? It's that energy that's underneath your brand. Third, a problem that you solve. And we're going to talk about some sauce later. But what's a problem that you feel like you were born to solve? Maybe there's a community gap or an inequity that is near and dear to you, breaks your heart. I hate to use that kind of language, but that's usually where big things are birthed. When they see some injustice or inequity happen, and it tugs on the heartstring, and it becomes the problem that we want to solve. And with that, what are some strengths that or maybe some strengths you've noticed in problem solving that you are able to apply daily in your leadership? And then lastly, the lifestyle that you want. This is the one that we don't always consider because we focus so much on what's important to us, We focus so much on the actions that we're taking every day, but that lifestyle you want considers your legacy, how long you can do it, what people are going to remember about you, even after the work is done, or when we're no longer here. This is the legacy piece. Or what does retirement look like? Again, what work are you doing? What do you stand for? Where you think about, when I'm done with this work, I'm building a life, I'm building wealth, I'm building a brand that is going to allow me to live this lifestyle now or in the future, or it's going to afford someone else to live a certain lifestyle now or in the future. So take a second, write these prompts down for yourself, and then I'm going to ask us to do a little sharing. I'll give y'all about a couple minutes. Uh-uh. All right, about 30 more seconds. And again, if you don't finish the exercise, you'll have access to these slides where you can do the exercise or finish it afterwards. But at least you should have the problems that you saw, up through the problems that you solve. And I'd love to hear a few people who want to be courageous volunteers to share some problems that they are confident that they solve, or share some of their strengths that they know is a big part of their leadership brand. All right, let me get my chat back up. And if you don't want to come off mute, you can drop it in the chat. But I'm going to take a couple of minutes and let some courageous folks talk, and then I'll read from the chat after that.
Hi, Candice. I'm Cece.
Hi, Cece.
And can you repeat the question more clear? I want to make sure I answer properly.
Yeah, so you could choose. I love to hear more about the problems that you solve, and what you wrote down for the problems that you solve.
Okay, the problems that I solve is usually women, I guess, self-actualization, them being able to realize the best of themselves despite historical trauma or current circumstances, and then bridging faith to healing because I do Christian ministry work. And so usually there's a divide between the secular practices of healing and their faith. And I bridge that the individual is able to see more fulfillment, not only naturally, but spiritually.
Love it. Love that so much. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So necessary in our community as well. Who else? Anybody else have problems that they solve that they want to share? Or you could share either one of these from the screen. I always choose the problem that you solve, because it's always cool when you're in a room full of peers for people to hear what you're interested in, what you're capable of, just in case they come across a person that may need you as a problem solver in their community. But you could choose anyone on a screen using the prompts. Courtney, I see your hand up. Love that logo, by the way.
So the problem that I'm working to solve is I was the social sector because I'm so working to race pattern recognitions or recognizing patterns.
Hey, Courtney, I'm not
Is
sure
it,
if it's just
can you hear
me.
me?
Yeah, I can barely. I'm not sure if it's just me. Let Gabby, can you let me know if you can hear her?
Yeah, I'm struggling also, Courtney. I can share mine while we wait.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, in my personal life, I bring visuals to life for people in many different scenarios, whether that be their branding, through photography or digital design, weddings, photos, events, all the things, but bringing their vision into something tangible.
Love it. Love it. And Courtney's going to put hers in the chat. I'll share mine as well. One of the problems that I solve is helping leaders, specifically, I work more with women to activate their confidence. And so I help them do that with their language and with their evidence of things that they've accomplished already, and then giving them tools to help them to take action based on their newfound confidence. So that comes to fruition through salary negotiations, resumes, or just overall, just what they, are doing in the workplace or in their business environment. But for me, it's about instilling confidence that helps people be better leaders. All right. And Courtney, I'm going to read yours and then I'm going to move on to the next slide. I'm working to solve the problem of silos in the social sector in my county. Love it. So trying to create a collaborative environment using pattern recognition and communication to help community members and organizations work on collective problem solving and collective action. Love it. Silos. I think that some things we have to do in isolation, but we should always be oscillating from being by ourselves to do some of the think work and then over to community. So anytime that you can have the thing that you do be helping people to work better in groups, I think that is so phenomenal. So thank you for sharing that, Courtney. And then I had one more. Marie shared her passion is educating others on autism and bringing awareness as an autism parent. And she's learning the struggles and lack thereof. Thank you so much for sharing. So again, you'll have these prompts, continue to sit with them and just continue to be even more specific around, hey, here's exactly what I want to solve. Here's exactly my values. There's, the three values, the three things that I stand on business about, what I'm passionate about. These are all great, and just continue to add specificity as you continue to do this exercise. So the next step in the journey of building your leadership brand is understanding what you own and what you want, the word that you want people to use to describe you when you're not in the room. And so here on the screen, you see a lot of words, but when you think about when Candyce leaves this call, and if she had to choose one word to describe me, one word to describe how she felt in the interaction with me, or one word to describe um, what I stand for and what I want people to know what I stand for, I think it's important to understand and know that it shouldn't be remarkable. I think remarkable is a great word by definition, but it doesn't lead to action. Remarkable does not lead to action. But if you feel my word is equipped, it's not on the screen here. If you feel equipped with your brand statement when you leave here, I want you to go and tell other people. Candyce gave me the tools and I feel equipped with my brand tools, or I feel empowered with the tools that she gave me for brand. What is your word? Choose your word and think about it less of, I want to choose the right word, and more, if somebody doesn't use this word, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed if they don't use this word. So think about it on the flip side of it, so you can get to your word faster. And I love for you to just drop your words in the chat. We'll do this part quickly as we progress to the next. Clarity, Marie. You want them to feel clear so they can make a fast decision. Impactful. Love it. Community. That's that collaboration, Courtney. Love it. Connected. Integrity. Seen. That's good. That's good, Gabby. Yes. And it got me thinking about you from you taking the pictures to the way you make people feel when you take pictures. I like that. That's a t-shirt for you. Effective, CC. Love it. Bold, yes. Unafraid and unapologetic is that bold. Love that. Yes, gets to the root. Phenomenal. All right. So in your notes, in the exercise that you'll do for homework is, just reflect on why you chose that word. I think it's great to choose a word, but I think you should reflect on why you chose that word. Because as you write your brand exercise, this is one that your brand statement, this is one that you might come back to. And so just continue to reflect on it. But these are phenomenal starts for the words that you all chose. All right, so now let's get to the the big part, the statement. I couldn't find my exact word I wanted to use there, but the first part of your brand statement. And this is your leadership brand statement. So what you see on the screen here is a formula for how you create your statement. And I've also given you an example of one of my brand statements. There is no wrong answer for the first iteration of your brand statement. The wrong answer is the most polished answer. So I'm not sure if this is your first time writing a brand statement, but there is no wrong answer. This is just the first iteration. And in fact, you're going to learn, especially as you go through this cohort, as you go through different leadership exercises, you're going to keep learning, getting better, and getting sharper all the time. Okay. And so your statement should consistently be evolving. And so, like I said, this is just one of my statements. You'll see another one down the line because I'm always massaging it and just tweaking it all the time, right? So just want to make sure I clear that up. But the first piece is I am, and this is who you are as a leader, not just your title. So I am a community builder. I am a clarity builder. You see here for me. Most times when I introduce myself, I'm a public speaker or a leadership strategist. Who are you for your I am? Secondly is who do you help? Who do you serve? Who do you support? Who do you lead or influence? If you have space, you can put the how, but more so concerned with the who you help. And then next is through what strengths, skills, or approach do you bring? So we did the what drives you exercise earlier. That's what you are really articulating here with the through. How do you help people? What do you bring to the table that helps people? And then lastly, so that what transformation or outcomes become possible because of your leadership. So this is where the problems that you solve come into play. So take a couple of minutes and we're going to do a quick live coaching session. Again, no wrong answers. This is just your first iteration. So do your fill in the blank for who I am. I am, say who you are. I help, say who you serve. Through, how do you help them? So that what's possible because you did it. And then we'll take a couple and do a live coaching and then move to the business brand piece. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. We're going to go fast today.
Hey Candice, when it says who you help or serve, does it need to be one or can it say I serve this and is and allowed?
It's a great question. Yeah. So yes, you can have more than one. Yeah. You don't have to limit yourself, especially if you serve more than one audience. I probably would though challenge to find a commonality between the two audiences. You don't have to do that today. Great question. 30 more seconds, and then we're going to take some. All right, so it's 12:40. I know it was very tight. So if you want to just share what you have so far, feel free to share. If somebody can finish, let's just do one or two of them so we can get to the next part. But I'd love to hear from a couple of you guys, and I can give you some feedback on it right away.
Hi, Candace. I'm Donna.
Hi, Donna.
Hi. I'm a retired theater teacher and I do current acting coaching and improv classes for all ages. Um, and I'm a beekeeper. Uh,
That's cool.
I thank you. I said I'm a teacher who helps humans of all ages find their commonality and courage. I use theater and improv as a tool for trust and joy building. My goal is to help people understand and care for each other and therefore be able to care for themselves.
Oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, that I don't have a ton of feedback about that, except that it's phenomenal. It's very specific.
Thank you.
It made me think though of something I just want to share with the group. So this is not specific to you.
Okay.
So for me, just in the last 7 days, I've worked with elementary kids all the way to business executives. And so I work with all people, right? One thing I want everyone to think about as you continue to sharpen this is who's the group that you work with the most. And when you talk about the audience that you serve, it's okay to say, hey, I help middle-aged women who are mid-career. That's who I know is listening to me the most and who end up being in most of my workshops. But I hope that all are listening or that I serve everyone. So just as you all continue to sharpen your brand, think about who's that target. So if you're next to a funder or someone who's working with a specific group, when they get in front of that group, they can think about, you know what? She works with burned out, middle-aged professional women. You need to talk to Candice, right? So
Perfect. Thank you.
phenomenal job, Donna. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
One more, and then we're going to advance to the next slide. If somebody else wants to share, let me check the chat too. Oh, I got one in the chat. Oh, I got two in the chat. All right, I'm going to read these in the chat. I'm an advocate. I support my son in bringing awareness to his diagnosis to other parents, caregivers who are also struggling and looking for guidance. I work in the public sector and I use my experience that I've gained in my career to inform others. I do this through word of mouth content. The outcome I've recently encountered is a grandparent asking for advice on how to obtain a diagnosis through my content, which was my purpose for people to start the conversation. I hope, yes, this is all making sense. I cannot tell that you were stumped. I think as specific as possible is actually later in the exercise. You're going to see that where I want you to share an interesting thing. In fact, this is how you build connection by sharing what's actually happening in your field and some results that you've achieved. So this is great. And make sure I get your name. Thank you, Marie, for sharing that. And then Courtney said, I'm a community builder who helps nonprofit organizations and community members break down silos by creating spaces of trust and safety where everyone feels heard and empowered to solve problems in partnership. Phenomenal. So as you all, again, continue to refine your statement. Specificity and clarity is key. You want to be as clear as a chicken finger. Now, let's go to the next part, which is your business brand. And the exercise that we're going to do next, you can actually take this and you can apply it to your personal brand as well. So don't feel like you just have to use this with your business brand. You can actually use it with your personal brand. So your personal brand is who you are. Your business brand is me, this amazing person. This is what I do with my amazing talents and my skills. Here's what I have created. Okay, so we're going to build a brand combo. We're going to build a brand combo. So you just got the formula for a brand statement. Now, taking your amazing gifts, what are we going to build with that? So for your organization, for your service, for your business, one, what is the core offer? The primary thing that your organization delivers. That could be a program, that could be a service, that could be a product. My core offer are my workshops. It is what I spend the most of my time doing. That is my core offer. Secondly, what is my supporting service? So what helps my core offer become better? What supports it? What strengthens it? Besides my warm personality, my charisma, and sometimes I tell dad jokes even though I'm a mom. What strengthens the offer? Other services and things that I offer are things like panels, keynotes, but more importantly, I create frameworks like the one that you see on the screen that actually helps people to take action when they leave and to have more clarity when they leave me. So my supporting service is my other speaking services plus the frameworks that come alongside my workshops. Third, what do people count on you to bring into every experience that they have with you? What is your toast, your consistency? For me, I probably would even shift my supporting services, the frameworks, as my consistency is that I'm always finding ways to have people connect things and learn them faster through the frameworks that I build. So I'm either coming with an acronym, I'm coming with a story of success. My storytelling and my framework building is something that you can get from me consistency, whether I'm doing a keynote, a panel, a workshop, or having a conversation. Fourth, energy. This is how people feel, the emotion that they feel after they work with you or are served by your organization. So what do you want them to feel? We talked a little bit about this with that word of how they feel when they're with you. It's kind of similar, right? Like when they're with you, they're encountering your organization, you want them to feel a certain way. So you can use that word, or you can choose a word that may differ a little bit from that word if that fits for you. And then lastly, this is the most important one. This is the only one we're going to talk about actually today, is the secret sauce. Why do people choose you again and again? If your service, your leadership disappeared, what would be lost on a community? If I wasn't talking about chicken fingers, what else? Who would y'all want to hear from? Y'all don't want to hear from nobody else talking about chicken fingers except me. But in all seriousness, what's the thing that keeps people coming back to you, that if you didn't offer that, it differentiates you from the community? Start there. When you build your brand combo for your business, you want to start with the secret sauce, and then you want to circle it back around to, all right, so this is the experience I want to deliver. This is the thing that I want to hook them with. Now, what's my chicken finger? What do I need to have as a core offer that gets them there? So take a couple of minutes. We don't have 10, but I do want to have people share their sauces and then take a couple of minutes to jot down a few thoughts around at least what your core offer is and what your secret sauce is. Because I think it's important to understand that as you are encountering and engaging businesses and peers in the community. And then I'm going to check the chat. Marie says core offer is content, supporting service. All right, so core offer content, the primary thing you deliver. Provide point of view content, raw and sometimes funny. Also more likely to get back into podcasting. Consistency is firsthand experience. So you're always sharing from experience. Love that. You want people to feel honored. And your secret sauce. So great. Thank you for sharing, Marie, that you're still figuring out your secret sauce. And I'll give you a quick example of myself, and this should resonate for the rest of the audience. There's tons of podcasters. There are a ton of workshop facilitators. I'm not the first, last, won't be the always, right? One of the things that I did to, and I'm challenging everybody to do to kind of think through what your secret sauce is go and look at some of your competitors, some podcasters that are talking about maybe the same thing you're talking about, or community builders that are building what you're building. What are they doing particularly well? And how can you not compete with them, but how can you be even more clear than them? So for me, workshop facilitators, everybody was great content. I've been in thousands of hours of workshops in my life. However, I wasn't doing a ton with the information. So that's where I said, you know what? I'm gonna build 5-minute career hack. And we're gonna give you digestible content in bite-sized chunks so you can go and actually take action on the things that we talk about. So if I stop this workshop right now, which we're gonna be done in about 10 minutes, you've got a brand combo. If you just take that, that's all you can go and literally have informed and just really clear conversations with people off the brand combo. That is my sauce, right? CC, her sauce is held, heard, and enlightened. Love it. Ooh, that's good. Y'all dropping gems in here. Remind you that it's all about the relationships you have with yourself and others. Love it. And what I would just continue to add again as you refine it, and this is for everything that we talked about today, as specific as possible and as repeatable as possible, right? And so when someone else is representing you in the room, my hope is that you leave this workshop and the next time that somebody says, man, I'm looking for somebody to do a workshop, you think of me and my chicken fingers and you say, you know, I think you should talk to Candyce, right? And so as you refine your brand and what your business stands for, how do you make it so specific and repeatable that somebody is always referring you? Does that make sense? And I want to pause here for questions before I decide how I want to conclude, because we've got a couple more concepts I want to cover in a very short amount of time. I love talking to y'all, so I knew I was going to go over. That's why I said it at the beginning. All right, specific and repeatable. Yes. Badass female leaders. Put that on a t-shirt, and that could be your who you serve, Jen. Love it. And if y'all have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll address them, or we can. Okay, I'm here still. Y'all still with me? Okay, it did.
Absolutely.
Okay, it did an auto reboot for like 2 seconds. Not sure why, but I'm still here. All right, so we did the personal brand. This is what you'll have as a takeaway exercise for your business brand statement. Very similar to your personal brand, but it's important, I think, that you have a separate one that you have for your business brand as well. The bonus to the business brand statement is, what do you help people avoid? So you know what your leadership capabilities are, you know what you want to stand for as an organization, but what's that thing that you help people avoid with your business? The autism example is standing out for me right now. The experiences and the stories that you tell, you're basically sharing transparently some of the experiences and results that you've had, so people can use that information and they can maybe avoid it or know how to advocate for themselves and their children out in the field. And so same thing for personal brand, but the business brand is just adding that, hey, here's what I help people avoid. All right, so this is the part that I wanted to make sure that I covered before we hung up. This is your ask, because a lot of times we have all this great information. You have very fine-tuned and polished brand statements. And if you're anything like me, I still get in rooms and somebody says, tell me about yourself. And I'm like I'm stuttering to get it out of my mouth. And then when they say, what can I do for you? Unless I've thought through exactly what I'm targeting and what I'm after, a lot of people don't have a direct answer. And I encounter this so much. A lot of my clients encounter it. And so the next thing that I want to just cover is your ask. And take a picture of this screen. Again, you're going to get these slides, but I want you to take a picture of this screen and have it in your phone. What is your most urgent goal right now? So when somebody says, how can I help you? You could be standing in front of somebody with $1 million that wants to know how they can help you. And you know you got a big funding goal. You got to be ready to write down what your goal is. What do you need to have done by when so that you can accomplish what? So what's your most urgent goal? Second is who. That should say who, the specific person or organization that you need to be in front of. Third, what do you need that person to do? Do you need them to give you a meeting? Do you need them to refer you to someone? Do you need a contract in order for you to meet your goal? Do you need a partnership? What do you need them to say yes to based on your most urgent goal? And then lastly, that one fact, result, or truth that makes somebody lean forward before you even finish your sentence. And so, again, I like to share that I know that 70% of women have experienced burnout since 2020. That's just those who report it with honesty. Usually, when I get to talking about that with people and I share that stat, it makes them lean in. If I'm talking to a woman, they see themselves in that. And that usually helps us carry the conversation forward because they know I'm coming from a place of facts, right? So, what you'll do, we don't have time to do it here on the call, but I wanted you to just have this. I didn't want to end it without covering this slide. A homework that you'll do is bring it all together. You have your leadership brand, you have your business brand, and then the third component for your conversation is your ask. Before you go into your next networking meeting with a potential partner, as you're doing emails, just any conversation. And if you're not in a position where you have to have this conversation, I'm going to encourage you to practice it. Practice it with somebody in your cohort, practice it in the mirror with yourself, practice it with somebody you trust, where you are articulating who you are. That's your leadership brand. Two, your business brand, who you serve, who you help, what your business stands for. And three, what do you need? Whether it's personally or professionally, if you're in front of one of those people, an organization, or the person that you need to help you accomplish your goal, what exactly do you need? Have that ready to ask. And then finally, the one thing that is worth knowing. So if you have a stat that you want to share that helps connect with that person within that first 7 to 90 seconds, be prepared to share that stat. Okay. This next slide, you'll have this. It just gives examples of places you might be, just to get your juices flowing of, hey, if I'm in this place, if I'm, what kind of conversations am I preparing for? These are some examples of some conversations that you can tell your story in. Challenge for you is practice. I said this already, and it's so important because I help people build confidence. Lack of confidence is just the absence of practice. And so practice, 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 saying your brand out loud. So when you're in that place where you're caught off guard and somebody says, hey, how you doing? Who are you? You already got a statement ready. 2, update your LinkedIn profile with your new brand statement. And then practice using your business brand statements in conversations that you're having daily. And I know we're out of time, but if you all have questions, I can hang out for about 5 minutes to answer questions. Thank you. It was a tight hour, but I enjoyed hearing from you all. I hope that you enjoyed some of the content. If you have any feedback, feel free to scan that QR code, give me feedback on our time today. You also have, you can get a free personal brand workbook if you fill out this survey. So feel free to do that. Totally optional. But I'll hang out if you have questions for the next 5 minutes or so. Thank you, Heal Alliance. I appreciate y'all.
Oh, no, we appreciate you. Thank you, Candace. So please scan that. And instead of me putting slides up, just if you've ever registered for one of these sessions, you will get the link and some information about the next. So we'll be meeting 2 weeks from now, which would be the 15th. And in that, actually, 1 or 2 people who are on this call will be moving into facilitator role. And we'll be talking about recognizing the gifts and gaps in your communities and just how we do that through network weaving and really to drive social change. And so Candice, you are amazing. As always, just you as a facilitator, as a partner, collaborator, friend, you are always, I won't even say welcome. You are at the table with us. So you know that.
You better stop
For
making me
sure.
cry.
Stop it.
I know I like
Really?
to
You know
cry. I like to cry, but I didn't expect it today.
Ah, I love it. So yeah, thank you for this. Honestly, we need more of this. And so we look for your responses, for your communication if you want more of this, because this is a deep dive. Honestly, this is probably every time you do this presentation, it needs to be multiple sessions of it. And so if you desire that, ladies, like, of course we have a different topic in 2 weeks. But if we need to pop something else out for the fuller community, let's do it. But we need to hear from you. We don't want to do anything that's because we think you want it, but it needs to be directed and guided by you all. And so we have a lot more coming up. Again, we have 2 more sessions. So this is 3 of 5, the 15th, and then the last one would be the 29th, which will be focused on facilitation for social change. And we have some other amazing people coming up that will be doing that. But as always, like I said, Candace is always a part of just our network, our ecosystem, as is all of you. And so if something else you want to see, you feel like there's some gaps in what we're doing, please email, text, let us know, and so that we can build it, because we know who the folks are who, like Candace, are brilliant, powerful, who really help us to be able to see the things that we may be missing, the gaps in what we're doing. And so we thank y'all again. We're 3 minutes over. If you want to hang out, maybe 2 more minutes for Candace, because I know she has some other stuff. Homegirl is booked and busy. But if you have maybe 2 more minutes, you want to talk to Candace, we'll hang out for a little bit. But otherwise, we will see you all, give you some time. And thank you for being here.
Thank you all. Cece, I see your question about faith community branding. Tell me a little bit more specific so I can answer you, and then we can take it offline if we end up going over time.
Sure. I have a ministry that I lead, and so we focus a lot on trauma and healing for women, and then transitioning men from being, kind of off to being more relational and empathetic and stuff like that. And so I'm wondering, is any of this information, like, are there any tips that I should remember or think about when applying what you've presented to faith communities where, we're talking about God and practical solutions?
Yeah, as general as I can keep it without knowing exactly, your mission and your brand, because that's some of that can be deeper work. But I would say think about what are some of the like tangible outcomes you want your community to experience after, encountering your brand. And so I know faith can sometimes be broad because it's a broad
It's
word, but
broad,
the
yeah.
book is very specific, right?
Hmm.
So, what are some of the, like, from your community, those that you're serving, what are some of the most common problems that they're experiencing? And if you could
Um,
just serve like at least 70% of that community by getting feedback from them and knowing like this is what will help you all, um,
mhm.
then have your leadership brand statement address the actual concerns and not as broad as just faith.
Got it. So bring the information because I get feedback, but I'm always just like, is that a tangible, or is that something that I guess would be believed
Mhm.
by, someone from the outside or just have not been familiar? Because I get a lot of that. I've never, I haven't seen this kind of ministry before. I'm unfamiliar with it. And so then the outcomes are very tangible, but then just relating it. So
Yeah, data is
appreciate
key.
that.
That's my answer to that one. Data is key.
Mhm. Okay.
Surveys, what statistics, research that somebody's already done? Is there any specific
Mhm.
data in your community that
Mhm.
shows that this is an issue that you are the solution for? That's I think will be key in this instance, especially because matters of the heart are just so broad.
Broad,
It is
yes, yes,
plentiful and plentiful.
yes. Well, thank you so much, Candace. I appreciate all the information and the
Yes, stay
presentation.
close.
To Crystal and Jen, thank y'all. You all have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank
Yes.
you. Glad to see you.